how we speak to each other on a daily basis, and I couldn't tell you anybody's birthday.
No.
Would struggle to tell most people's jobs and where they work, but we talk on a daily basis.
I don't even know, like, for example, I don't know what age you would be at your next birthday, Hunter. Are you older than me, younger than me?
I'll be 39 in December.
Cool, so we're the same age then. I'm about to be 38 imminently, so yeah.
Again, though, that's a good thing. It's because none of that stuff actually matters, just nonsense.
Sorry I don't speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun, you fucking moron.
Dressed up like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron?
Huh?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa.
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Be down, you moron. Hey, moron.
Doesn't matter. We talk to each other about what we're actually interested in, to the point that we have to categorise all our chats to make sure it's about that specific interest.
See, trying to explain to people this, that when you click, if I click on like Daniel's name on WhatsApp, it'll be like groups in common, and I'll have 9 groups in common with different subject headings. But God, hell mend you if you go talk about if we go talk about wrestling in the draft chat, would get fucking hounded out from the people that are not into the wrestling. And if we talked about movies in the FIFA chat, it would be the same. You'd get fucking hounded out. And I'm just exposing chats here that are making us sound more gimpy and gimpy every single time that we talk. But I still think the funniest one ever is when Daniel tried to get a puzzle chat going.
I was really gutted that never took off. Like, I still really like puzzles. That's what I hope for that. Anyone that ever wants to get me a gift for like a Christmas or a birthday or anything like that, I would ask for a nice puzzle.
Just get you one of those jigsaws that's just white.
No, I hate jigsaws, right? So just putting it out there. I hate jigsaws, but I do like a different take on a jigsaw maybe. Like I don't know if I showed you one. I've got one that's like a 2-layered chessboard.
Yes.
Okay.
I think I showed you that before, Dave. And you've got to build a chessboard. And it sounds super easy. But every bit's like slightly different contoured, and it's really difficult. I'm hearing myself back here. Can you guys hear me echoing?
It's only when you lean forward. When you lean forward, you're coming in twice. But yeah, no, there is multiple chats. We had a fucking Marvel only chat. Not that we've got like we had one that was like a movie chat, and then we had to talk about Marvel in a separate chat because that was upsetting people and we were talking about Marvel. But
I forgot about the Marvel chat.
Yeah.
The Marvel chat that was set up to discuss The Voice, a non-Marvel product.
Well, it was called Marvel Etc. Just to cover that.
And then me, Dave, and Hunter have got a Man United chat where we just fucking cry at each other, and we've just changed that recently to fuck Man United.
That'll be hammering in shortly, right enough.
Oh, aye. When we beat Southampton next, we'll be all over it. We're back. Yeah. We're back.
Is Dubs too negative to be in the Man United chat we use? Is that
he'd drop in and out depending on the results.
Right. Got you. That makes sense.
It depends what week he decides that he's a Man United fan. But no, it's interesting when you speak to like our significant others, where like my missus got one group chat with her friends and everything goes through there. That just doesn't work in my brain. It's like, no, I need to talk. I'm going to put my 6 o'clock FIFA stuff in, and then I'm going to come and talk about Movie Club because we're doing that at 9, and it's all of the different parts as you go on. But no, we hold each other accountable for it, which I suppose is a good thing. We talked about prior to this, where just tell people what you're thinking. If we don't like that subject's not for this chat, fuck off to another one and have it with someone else.
Chat for it, then.
Man. Take that elsewhere with like-minded people. We don't have time for shit we don't care about.
But what's also good about it though is like there's chats that I know that I'm no in, but I couldn't care less because I know I'm in chats with other people. It's not like an exclusion thing.
You've let the mask slip there. You actually do care about that.
Yeah, that's all I can think about now.
If you want to go talk about darts or like Stenny, if it want that, go do it somewhere else. I'm not.
You try to guess what other chats are now and everything.
Please include me. Just more chats to mute.
The Albatross chat's on fire these days, to be honest.
I
Is
think
that
never been in it.
it's you and Banjo, Billy and Sean though in that chat?
Is it on fire off the back of every Celtic result?
Basically, aye. And if they lose it, it's good because he gets it up on. If they win, we just tell him how meaningless it is. He can't win.
That's Sean's life, isn't it?
It's why he comes and sits on the computer with me and sits in silence and doesn't talk to me. I'm leaving in the chat. He just wants some peace and quiet.
I'm just imagining you just sitting on screen now, like with a camera like this, just sitting going. Just like that picture of him when he's on holiday or whatever, he's sitting there like looking like the world's ending. We need to get Sean back on for an episode. Sean was the funniest person on this in the peak of the Morons movies days. Like, didn't mean to be funny, but he was just always fucking hilarious. I actually watched back recently the clip about his basketball stuff, which is still fucking funny to me. Like that Sean thought he was going to be a good basketball player one day. Aye. Dave, Dave never actually got to come on and refute those claims because you would have been playing basketball with him at the school. Was Sean actually good at basketball?
I'm sure that some got put in the chat about that, and I have got zero recollection of him being good at anything, to be honest.
Sean's good for nothing.
What we are good at, though, is talking about Black Mirror. We're getting into a role now.
Yes.
Here we are. Welcome into another episode of Morons Review and Everything. Black Mirror, Episode 3. Episode 3 is titled The Entire History of You. In the near future, everyone has access to a memory implant that records everything that they do, see, and hear. You need never forget a face again. But is that always a good thing? Is the synopsis for it? This is a wild storyline for me. And it's wild because you can see this coming.
Yeah.
You can see this becoming an actual thing. And instantly you think, would you want other people to see what you've seen? And we've been sitting talking about group chats as a prime example. Mm-hmm. Would we want to be showing someone else the content of a group chat that we've been involved in reading for a couple of hours? Not because it's necessarily something dodgy or inappropriate we're talking about, but just how much nonsense and shite we talk when we're talking career paths with football or quizzes, and we're spending hours upon hours searching for the Arsenal player that Dave made up that nobody had ever heard of.
I just think, you see, if you had that career pass would be done in 2 seconds because you could just go back and remember what you'd seen it, and that would be it.
It's a scary, scary concept, this one, I think. Like this is where it starts to kick into gear for me. So like season 1, if I'd just watched the first 2 episodes and then the next season came out, I'd be like, oh, I'll watch it when I get a chance. But then this one being the last one, I just think this is what Black Mirror's all about. This is where I think that they've looked at the first 3 episodes that they've done in season 1 and gauged where they want, what direction they want this show to go in. I think that this sums it up, man. Like I just think it's peak idea.
The premise is incredible. It's crazy things like he's going through the airport, but he has to declare everything he's seen, looked at, and done. Like that could genuinely be a thing for safety. Then you've got the other area where his missus is trying to have an affair and he's over analysing absolutely everything that he's seen, where he's talking about her body language and her behaviour and what she's saying, and he starts piecing it all together. You could imagine the obsessive people that would sit and study the shit out of that.
Yeah.
Would drive them insane. But then you've also got quite a dark element of it is when they're having sex. Mm-hmm. And they're having the most mundane, boring sex, but they're visualizing something else. And they could be visualizing 2 completely different elements. Like she's talking about flings that she's had in the past that she's clung on to. This is where the overthinker would come into it, and how much she's paying attention to this kind of thing. And it would be a crazy controlling thing, and you could see how dangerous it could be.
I'm interested in Dave's thoughts on this one, since he slammed the premise of the last one. I want to understand what you think of the premise of this one, Dave.
Well, this one, hits a bit harder because, like it's just been said, I believe that a version of this will actually become reality. Well, chips in people's hand. I'm pretty sure that's already in Asia, like for paying for things, contactless and that. So, and I listen to a lot of the podcasts with like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Brian Cox and all they kind of folk, and they're pretty, and Elon Musk and that, and they're pretty confident that fairly soon, in the next decade or two, that we will have these chips in our brains or wherever that can do, maybe not quite this episode, but I thought it was really interesting, and I think it would be you'd have to be a very, very strong person not to do what he done.
Mm-hmm.
Not just randomly. He did only start delving into the things because he seen some things he didn't like, and he didn't just think, "Oh, I'm going to start looking at her just because I'm a psycho." She gave him reason to act like that, and that sounds like fucking victim blaming, to be fair, but like that was the way the episode was structured.
No, I don't think it is. I don't think you are victim blaming, because ultimately it's portrayed that way for 90% of the episode until it's revealed at the end that he was right.
Mm-hmm.
So she actually was the villain of the piece, I suppose, wasn't she? Like,
yeah, that's true.
So, but if it had come to the end and he was incorrect, then he's a fucking psycho. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's he was walking that tightrope all the way through it. That kind of, because I thought it was going to be revealed at the end that he was just mental and she hadn't done any of these things, because that's usually how these things go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was sort of portrayed like he was being paranoid. Oh, you're being paranoid. Blah 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 blah. But he wasn't. Do you know what I mean? He was right.
It's a difficult one, that though, because, and I've been in this situation. I mean, I would never do anything like that, but I've had it done to me, and the person was embarrassingly for me a long time ago. They were right, but I still don't think it was right that they went through my phone unauthorized.
Well, yeah, that's
even though it turned out that they were right. So it's a difficult one. Have like a full opinion on, because you're right. It turned out that he was right, but then was it? But it's great though, because it makes you, puts a lot of thought into it.
100%. Like I've got, I don't know how you guys feel like, but I would never, ever, ever look through someone's phone. Like it's just so in me, right? So like, Ella makes a joke about it sometimes. But even if I've got to pass with her phone for her bag, I turn it face down, and then pass it, right? Do you know why? And this is where it's not to do with, obviously this whole thing's about an affair, right? But I would like to think that, see if, for example, one of you wanted to send me a message that was about something private. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got to have, let's just say, what if Ella's pal wanted to tell her something that she didn't want anyone else to know?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then I happen to just look at a notification and see it. It's just, it doesn't sit right with me that you need to be able to have some sort of elements of privacy. And this episode, the Black Mirror, kind of projects a future where we're going to lose that. And
it could escalate.
Just privacy from your partner or whatever you've seen with the airport. Even these employers, I want to know how many videos he's done. Like, you have no privacy from anyone in the world with just the privacy to have a look at it.
Yeah, that's scary. Like,
you could picture the scenarios as well, though. Like let's say you've just had a shitty review with your boss, and then you go to your colleague and you just have this big fucking rant where you're talking about how you're going to leave and you hate the job and you hate all this kind of stuff. And then you're pulled into a meeting and you have to show that.
Well, again, right, I'm assuming most of you guys in whatever work you do, because we don't know enough about each other to know those things.
It'd be funny if you just said, I presume most of you guys work, and then just left it there.
But most workplaces now have an internal communication thing, right? And you might be sitting there privately, what you think is privately chatting to your work colleague about something that's going on. But ultimately, if they really wanted to, your bosses can go and pull all of those chats. You know what I mean? And we're monitored with so much that we do now that if you got to this point where you had an implantable chip and that was part of what could be monitored about you, everything would be fucked. Like, nobody would really be who they really are. I think it's
Mhm.
what they
I
have.
was going to say you'd ultimately have to just be a fake cartoon of yourself, because you would be too scared to look at anything. You'd be too scared to look the wrong way if you were in the gym, because it could get played back and it could be subjective. Constant VAR all the time.
Yeah.
All the way through. But there's technology out there. If you look at things like, you get Google Glasses at the moment that are doing things live while you're walking. You've got the Apple Vision Pro, where you essentially walk around with it, and it can map out your routes and all this. What's to stop that just recording?
Mhm.
Well,
That
it probably does. Yeah, it probably does.
Yeah, you could record everything.
Your phone does it. I know you'll have a discussion about something and then it pops up your socials and adverts for something you've been talking about. It's already happening.
Definitely.
Me and Ella were talking about wallpaper recently, right? And then also she was talking about, what it's like coming out of Christmas, everyone, like what Kyle's doing, we'll try to shift a bit after Christmas. So all I get now when I go online is wallpaper and diet pills / diet fads, and that's all I get. And I'm not interested in either of these things. So it doesn't even do its job well, because it's obviously trying to put the things in front of you that you actually want.
Mm-hmm.
But just because you're talking about it doesn't mean it's what you want to consume. But there's a few moments in this. For example, there was the woman who had been, they called it gouged. So to steal your information, they fucking carve out your chip and you're actually out of your skin. And then she never went back to it, and they were all amazed, like, oh, how are you going without a chip? So it must be like a very small minority don't have it. And I like to think, and that we're going to kind of go back to the last episode about what you think about yourself and if you were being presented with these ideas. I like to think I would choose not to have such a thing. But then, is that am I having too much faith in myself there? And that if everyone else in about you had the thing, because here's where this comes from for me, right? And you all know this because we're men of a certain age, right? But you would love now, as us all pushing 40, to be able to see and watch back things you did in your 20s. Remember that party when that happened, or remember that.
That's all we talk about. We all talk about things that we did.
Same old friends, that's it.
Yeah. Same story, same thing. That's it. And it would be, I think that would really, the novelty would wear off really quickly, right? But for a period of time, can you imagine if we all got together, say, like the Rumble's coming up, for example, right? For a couple of hours before the Rumble, do you want to watch the night that the Rumble was at Dave's and fucking Jerry got naked and fucking jumped on somebody or something? Do you know what I mean? Like,
broke his arse.
Aye, like all these sorts of things that you could go back and watch. I think for a short period, be able to relive everything for your life would be amazing. But then once you catch up to now, and all you've got is what you've done last week and what you did. Do you know what I mean? That's where it loses it, and I think it would quickly destroy you. I think you would start to lose your mind. So I don't know.
If we take a potential positive that could come out of it, people would stop walking about with phones in front of their face constantly. At the football, phones out the whole time, walking around. Anything seeing happen, phones are straight out.
That's like the line that got put in the wrestling chat when The Rock makes his appearance on Netflix and he's just surrounded by folk in the crowd with their phones out. They're watching The Rock's there in front of them, but they watched it via the screen.
He's right there.
I know.
But this one, there's a few moments I wanted to discuss, right? So one, obviously, he has the job interview, overanalyzes it. That's the type of typical shit you would expect to happen, right? But then he then becomes obsessed with overanalyzing her facial expressions and you spoke to him this way, but then when you spoke to me, you had this face, and sitting there getting smashed, and then he goes and makes all these horrible decisions afterwards, turns up at the guy's house and all that sort of stuff. You wouldn't really. What blows my mind is that she would maybe try and get away with that, knowing that she lives in a world where everything is known, right?
Yeah.
But I suppose she almost did get away with it because it was only because he saw in the background of a video, do you know what I mean, a tiny little thing in the screen zooming in, that he managed to see it. So, because you can delete files, can't you? That's what he was. Yeah. She was trying to delete stuff before.
Trying to delete stuff, yeah.
And that's where I think Dave mentioned sort of victim blaming earlier on. He became abusive, and
he was gaslit into thinking he was wrong.
Of course, right? So she was gaslighting him, but then what he should have done is then walked away from the situation, right? But ultimately, emotions took charge and he became a horrible cunt, which is the answer. The dream isn't that at all. But this is why I'm going to get onto the score and the premise now, right? Because the reason we've talked now for 20 minutes just about these hypothetical ideas, and that's why the premise for this one is fucking excellent. I think. What Black Mirror to me is meant to do is make you have these conversations, and we've just, without even thinking about it, spent 20 minutes talking about the implications of what this could be like. And so I'm going to get your scores now for the first part, which is the premise, and I'm giving this a very healthy 4.5 to kick us off.
I'm going to just knock a slight bit off that and go 4.25, purely on there's more to come.
Yep. Hunter?
4.5 for me as well.
Sure.
Alliance. Dave?
I'm going to give it a 4.
There we go.
It is a strong story, and I think it touches that part again. This is 2011 that this came.
Amazing.
And 2010-ish would have been when it was initially filmed and thought of. But just a quick note to something in the trivia that I thought was quite interesting. In 2013, Robert Downey Jr. tried to get this made into a feature-length film, which eventually got shelved. And in 2018, apparently it was re-looked at, but nothing's come from it. Would it be better as a full-on film, or is this just enough for what it needs to be?
It's a tough one because that's the only downside, I think, when it comes to the actual story for me is he does go from 0 to 100 very quickly with it, analysing everything that she's done and how she's done it for the night before. That, to me, they would maybe need to think that they're obviously, was there inklings of a bit of history between them? But you maybe need to see maybe a bit of a more of an overall picture, a wider spectrum, and how to gauge maybe the specific one story. But could the concept be developed into a film? But I think the specific one story, maybe no quite.
I think with a film for this, they would probably ruin it a little bit because they would show you flashbacks, say her being in Morocco with a guy, and you would get all that backstory that you didn't necessarily need. And half an hour to 40 minutes of the movie would have been made up with filling these gaps that we're sitting here talking about.
I don't know, but I think this would be a good thing about every single Black Mirror episode probably could be a feature-length film.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of it. It's whether it should be. I would probably say no. I think this is the whole point of this, I think, is to give you a glimpse of here's one couple going through one issue based on this technology, right? But in reality, there would be millions of different scenarios where millions of folk are having these horrible situations. I think for a movie, you'd also just have to concentrate on probably one couple, right? Or a couple are small, because you've got to focus it in. So to me, what's the point? I think it's already been done now. But then if I'm Robert Downey Jr., if I'm someone that's got money to buy the rights to something, I'd be buying the rights to this to make that film. It'd be successful, 100%. Especially for people that have never seen this. If you've never watched Black Mirror and that movie came out, you'd be like, fucking hell, that's brilliant. So
and what also I really like about this is the performances from the actors and actresses. I think Jodie Whittaker's a fantastic actress. She's excellent in it. And the guy from Rock and Roller is the only thing I can think of him in. He was very, very good in it. Jodie Whittaker, have any of you ever seen the TV show Broadchurch?
Yes.
Yeah.
Broadchurch is excellent. She's superb in that as well. So it's definitely worth a watch, that one. I would say in terms of the acting performances, you focus on those two, but the so-called villain, the guy that she has the affair with, is also excellent. He plays his part as a smarmy, smug, sleazy guy that you just love to hate. He plays it really, really well. I feel like I recognise him from stuff, but I actually don't know what from, and I'm going to search in the background while you guys tell us your thoughts.
I'll let somebody else go first.
Let's say it's probably similar to the Prime National Anthem one, where it's one story, like there's only two main actors really in this, whereas it was the Prime Minister before, there's only the two here, so, and they convey everyone else is just a bit part player in their story, like the babysitter, the sleazy guy, although that was at the party, that those obviously those performances come across really well, but as it there's not really much more to it. It is just it's a very two character orientated story.
I'm not a big fan of the main guy. I don't know what you guys think, but like, I think he comes across a bit unrealistic because Jodie Whittaker's so good. I think she comes across like a proper real human being that you could imagine how they would act in this scenario. And obviously, she's been tasked with a performance element of portraying all these different facial expressions and little body language things that she does really well, which are really on the line as to whether is he a psycho or is she actually doing this stuff, and you never really know for ages. And she does that really well. I think he's a bit cartoonish. I think it's especially when he's talking about like his work performance and like his interview and all that. It just felt a bit like cardboardy. Has he ever been? What's he been in after this? Has he went on to do other stuff? Because
he's most known for is plays Koba in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
So he plays a monkey.
Okay. He plays Victor Von Doom in 2015's Fantastic Four. He's in Warcraft.
So he always plays things where he's CGI'd into something then.
Rock and Roll is the one that I recognise him from, where he's Johnny Quid.
Yeah.
Rock and Roller. I wasn't necessarily against him, to be honest. I thought he was decent enough. I feel like he just seemed a bit pathetic as a person. Like he was obviously not the dominant one in that relationship. She was in control of everything that went on, and she took advantage of him throughout that. He was just a bit, I don't know, a bit of a wet wipe as a person, but I felt like that was from the acting performance rather than the actor. So I don't know. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it. I thought they bounced off each other well.
Yeah, I agree. I thought they were pretty decent. I thought he played his role pretty spot on, to be honest. So
I'll be the outlier here.
Similar to Hunter, that not quite as strong as the last one, but decent enough.
So let's
obviously the acting performances are nowhere near the premise. I think Jodie Whittaker's taken the heavy load of having a decent score for.
I bet she has.
And she took the heavy load for that guy,
But I think kind of what you're touching on there, Kyle, I think because the premise for this cuts so close to the bone with how reality is now, that's how it scores very highly, and because it is a possibility in one way or another.
I'll follow that up, right? Because I think if you had a Daniel Kaluuya level performance for that guy, this would be like a really one of the very, very best Black Mirror episodes. But because I didn't sympathise with him or hate him or have any real feelings towards him, that's what kind of takes me a wee bit. So I'll jump in first with my score and performance, and I'm giving it a 3.
A strong performance for a score for you. That must be good.
Because Jodie Whittaker's really good.
Yeah,
I think. So if she wasn't so good, it would have been a bit lower. But if he wasn't so bad, it would have been higher. So that's what made it.
I'm going to come in and go a good chunk. I'm going to go at 3.75, and I'm going to say primarily because I've seen multiple times. I know what's going to happen, and I feel like I sympathise with the guy a lot more, knowing the outcome. So I think if you're watching it for the first time, I could see why you would score it down a little bit more, or you've not seen it for a long time.
Dave?
I am a 3 as well. Yeah, pretty solid, just above average, decent.
Hunter?
3.25 for me.
Here we go.
And then in terms of no,
that's fine.
Too quick with your maths here, Daniel. I'm trying to do some filler here to give you some time.
I'm good with a 4.31 for premise, with a 3.25 for performance, and we can now give an overall score for enjoyment.
Yeah. So overall, if we're reviewing this versus the first 3 episodes, that is now a full season of Black Mirror completed by the morons. This is by far the best one.
Yeah.
So much more in front of the other 2. And I think it's a good indication of where Black Mirror goes, especially in the next 2 to 3 seasons. Things do get better, but this is a really, really strong episode. And I'll throw in a score for an overall straight away, but I would give this a solid 4.5 in
that's
terms
high.
of an overall score. It's a very much a rewatchable episode. You
Yep.
mentioned that about the last one. Although there is bits to it, you wouldn't go back and watch it. I feel like I could go back and watch this one now and enjoy it the same, and probably actually pick up more things from watching it.
Good point. Yeah, I'll go last then, so we'll go Hunter second.
I'll go 4.25 for me.
I am going to go with a 4. Yep, really enjoyable concept that comes fairly close to reality, or what's to be reality. And then, I agree with Kyle, could definitely rewatch it.
I am on the same boat in terms of comments, but in terms of scores, I am following Dave on a 4. It was very enjoyable. I would watch it again, maybe not quite to the extent of the other two. So that gives us a 4.19 overall for enjoyment. And I will give you the final score in a second once Kyle talks some shit.
Oh, I don't think we've actually plugged the beer that the morons can get. So if you are going to rewatch episodes of Black Mirror or watch for the first time, you might as well do it with some free alcohol from the world's #1 craft beer subscription plan. Head over to beer52.com/morons. That's MORONS for those morons that can't spell, and you'll get a case for absolutely
fuck all.
Nothing.
So the final score, and heading to an early top of the leaderboard of a 3.92 overall final score for episode 3. So it's taken a hefty increase from the last episode, which was a 3.2 up to a 3.92 for this one.
It's going to be a tough one to beat, especially there is some cracking ones coming and there's some shitters to come as well. But if you have enjoyed us talking about Black Mirror, that is now done the first 3 episodes. Season 2 will be started very shortly and we will get more episodes done. If you have any suggestions, please pop over to Instagram, leave some comments on YouTube, etc. as well. Let us know what you would like us to watch, discuss, and essentially shit on, which we normally do. Thank you very much for listening. We do appreciate it. And as morons do, bid you farewell.
Bye.
Catch you.
Sorry I don't speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron? It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun, you fucking moron.
Dressed up like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron?
Huh?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa.
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron. Hey, moron.
Bid you farewell and good luck, morons.